Hey YouTube, what's up? It's CS back here with another installment, and here are my picks for UFC 144, Edgar versus Henderson. Alrighty folks, now what do you guys think of this card overall? In my opinion, it does look pretty good top through bottom. I do like to see a well-rounded mixed martial arts card, and that's exactly what we have here. We have some solid submission grapplers, some solid wrestlers, some solid strikers, and guys who could do it all and look exciting at the same time. Yeah, I'm mainly talking about the Frankie Edgar Ben Henderson lightweight championship main event when I say that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that bout, and I'm actually gonna break that shit down. First, I'm gonna start from the top through the bottom. So yeah, I can't wait to break this thing down. But first off, my preliminary card picks, like usual, will be in the description below. So go check those out. If you have any questions about those, just ask me in the form of a comment. But yes, let's start off with that lightweight championship bout between the champion Frankie Edgar and the challenger Benson Henderson. Now, folks, this looks like a pretty solid main event if you ask me. Again, both guys are pretty exciting no matter where it goes. I think Ben Henderson's phenomenal, first off. The guy can slow down the pace of the fight and still look exciting. Not many fighters can say that. I'm just saying. So I really do like what he brings to the table. The guy has solid cage and prey. He'll push you up against the cage, use some solid dirty boxing from there, some solid elbows. He's just an overall very good clinch fighter, and then from there he can drop down for a single or double and hopefully bring you down and then unleash some more ground and pound. That's Ben Henderson MMA, and he can pretty much do that for 3 or 5 rounds. And if Frankie Edgar is not on his toes and not using solid footwork and shit, then that's probably going to happen to him. Frankie Edgar, though, if he does win, he of course does it with a stand-up most of the time. He has pretty solid footwork, pretty fast hands, and he's usually technically better than anyone he faces in terms of the boxing game, and he'll just dance circles around you while picking them apart with combinations, and he can do that, plus throw in some takedowns. His transitions are very good, some of the best in MMA. I think he can transition from a combination, pop, and then just drop down for a double, and he can get him. And Ben Henderson, I know he has solid leg strength, but if he's not, aware, then he's probably going to be on his ass at the end of the round after Frankie completely outboxes him. Now, that's what would happen if, the fighters are in the center of the octagon and they're trading. I think Frankie's going to just outspeed Ben Henderson, outwork him like that. But I think Ben Henderson is going to do a very good job of controlling this fight. I just can't see Frankie Edgar being able to unleash footwork and fast hands for at least 3 rounds on Ben Henderson. I think Ben Henderson is going to be able to slow down the pace of this fight, get Frankie up against the cage, and just do Ben Henderson MMA for at least 3 rounds to pick up a unanimous decision. I think Ben Henderson is better at doing what Randy Couture used to do. That's my description of Ben Henderson, and he has a deadly guillotine. Frankie cannot sleep on that. I don't see either guy finishing either guy, though, but I think Ben Henderson, I think he'll use his size and his athleticism. I think he is pretty athletic to be able to just stuff Frankie Edgar in a corner and just, of course, dirty box and maybe take him down. I think he's going to outpoint him like that. So I got Frankie Edgar losing to Ben Henderson via unanimous decision. I'm going to say 48-47. And yeah, there's a new lightweight champion. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to the co-main event. Light heavyweight bout between Quinton Rampage Jackson and Ryan Darth Bader. Now, first off, shout outs go to my good friend Jimmy Tenzing for taking Ryan Bader for $20, even odds. What? Damn, I got Rampage that easy? Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that. So if you're listening, Jimmy, thank you so much. Yeah, Ryan Bader's not winning this fight at all. At all. How does he win? Freak knockout with a flamethrower over right hand? I don't think so. Does he out wrestle Quinton Rampage Jackson for at least 2 rounds? I don't think so. His double leg is so telegraphed, and of course he doesn't have the grinding, Jackson style that beat Quinton Rampage Jackson when Rashad Evans beat him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't think Ryan Bader's athletic enough to do what Rashad Evans did, or has the cardio to do so, to be able to hang with Quinton Rampage Jackson by the cage, push him up against there, some dirty boxing, and then, of course, getting some takedowns off. I can't see Ryan Bader doing that for at least 2 rounds, so I think that Quinton Rampage Jackson is going to be stuffing double leg attempts very easily, and I think that he's eventually going to catch Ryan Bader with one of those right or lefts, and I think Ryan Bader's going to go down, and I think Rampage is going to finish him with some more punches. Now, you might argue that Rampage might be done in terms of power, and that's a legit argument. But I still think whatever he's done with is better than what Tito Ortiz knocked down Ryan Bader with. So I think that it's very possible for Rampage to knock down Ryan Bader and then finish him off with more punches. So that's my pick. Quinton Rampage Jackson, knockout of the night, first round punches. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to that Cheick Kongo Mark Hunt heavyweight bout. Now, it would be nice for Mark Hunt to come back to Japan and earn a KO over Cheick Kongo, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think Cheick Kongo is dumb enough to go into that ring and strike anywhere with, a K1 level striker, Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt's skills aren't K1 level anymore, but y'all get the idea. The guy throws bombs in his hands, and either right or left hand could put anyone out on their best day. Just saying. So yeah, Cheick Kongo is going to stick to Mark Hunt like glue and push him up against the cage, and yeah, just use his solid cage and prey, some nut shots, and some, dirty boxing to just overwhelm Mark Hunt from there. And of course, he'll drop for a single or double leg takedown, will Cheick Kongo, and he's going to get it rather easily. Mark Hunt does not have good takedown defense, and yeah, I just think he's going to do that over the course of 2 or 3 rounds. Cheick Kongo, I think he gets at least a 29-28 decision here. I really don't see how Mark Hunt gets around without, knocking Cheick Kongo out. You know what I'm saying? So if Cheick Kongo, is not offensive at any time and Mark Hunt is, Cheick Kongo is going to get knocked out. But I think Cheick Kongo is going to be on his cage and pray, lay and pray game tenfold here, and you might even see him TKO or KO Mark Hunt when Mark Hunt is on the ground, because Mark Hunt defensively in terms of any form of grappling is not good. So yeah, I got Cheick Kongo winning this fight. I'm going to go with a 30-27 unanimous decision for Cheick Kongo. As long as he's smart, I think that's, most likely going to happen. So again, Cheick Kongo via UD. Alright folks, now let's move on to that welterweight matchup between Yoshiro Akiyama and Jake Shields. Now of course Akiyama is making his welterweight debut, and Jake Shields has looked shitty at welterweight for a while now. And of course, he was a middleweight champion in Strikeforce. His last fight there was a UD over Dan Henderson. That's pretty big considering where Dan Henderson's at in the light heavyweight rankings now. But of course, since his move to the UFC and his return to welterweight, he's looked like shit. And that's okay, because Akiyama is most likely going to look like shit at welterweight too. I don't see how Akiyama is able to stop Jake Shields' takedowns for 3 rounds. I just don't see it. I think Jake Shields will be on his takedown game tenfold here. I think that's all he's working on, and Yoshiro Akiyama on his back is not good. Jake Shields has solid top control, and he's going to attack, I think, in terms of subs here, because I don't think he has anything to worry about when Akiyama's on his back. So look for Jake Shields to try to pass guard and, land some decent ground pound and maybe choke Yoshiro Akiyama out. But I'm going to say Jake Shields just gets it done over the course of 3 rounds and gets a unanimous decision, but a very decisive unanimous decision. So that's my pick. Jake Shields against Yoshiro Akiyama. Jake Shields over Yoshiro Akiyama, Japan's most hated, unanimous decision. Alright folks, now let's move on to that Yushin Okami Tim Boetsch middleweight bout. Now Yushin Okami has this in the bag everywhere, I think. I think he's the better submission grappler. I think he's the better MMA wrestler. I think he's stronger. I think he's more athletic. I think he has a better gas tank at middleweight. I don't see how Tim Boetsch gets it done. Tim Boetsch is not as relentless as Chael Sonnen is as a wrestler, nor has the cardio Chael Sonnen does, or the technique, in my opinion. So I think Yushin Okami is going to be able to control this wherever. I think Okami will be on his jab game in this fight. I think his stand-up skills are improving. I don't think Tim Boetsch is a threat on defeat whatsoever. So I look for Yushin Okami to outbox Tim Boetsch here and there, and I think he's going to be able to take him down at the end of rounds as well. I just don't see how Tim Boetsch was able to get on top of Yushin Okami and lay and pray. In the clinch, Okami is phenomenal. So if he's going for clinch takedowns, is Tim Boetsch, he's going to get messed up there, I think. So yeah, I think Okami wins this everywhere and wins unanimous decision 30-27 or 30-26. Alrighty folks, now let's move on to that featherweight bout between Hatsu Hioki and Bartowski. Now I think this is the most interesting bout on the card here, because Bartowski is a beast at featherweight in my opinion, and Hatsu Hioki just lacks killer instinct. So what kind of Hatsu Hioki are we going to see this bout? I think that Hatsu Hioki being in Japan this time in his second UFC bout, I just don't see him looking as whack as he did against George Roop. I think he's going to be a go-getter in this fight. I don't think he's going to do much of the stand-up game with Bartowski. I think that would be stupid because Bartowski is a good technical boxer. I mean, he has bombs in his hands. I think Hioki is going to be on his takedown game tenfold here. I think he's going to work on tying Bart up against the cage and, of course, going for a single or double once that happens. And I think that once he's on top of Bart, I think he's actually going to try to pass guard and look to land some solid ground and pound and attack with submissions. That's what I think is most likely going to happen. Now, if Bart Palachevsky comes out there and blitzes Hioki, and Hioki can't defend from whatever flurry Bart Palachevsky is throwing at him, then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hioki get knocked out, even though Hioki's never been finished at all in his career. But again, I just think Hioki's going to be on his takedown game, and I don't think Bart Palachevsky with his shaky takedown defense is going to be able to stuff that before he does have a chance to knock Hioki out. So that's my pick. Hioki, I'm going to say he gets a decision over Bart Palachevsky. I think we're going to see Bart Palachevsky essentially try to defend takedowns and submissions over the course of 3. So again, Hioki via UD 29-28. Alrighty, folks, now let's move on to the last bout I'm going to break down. It's between Anthony Pettis and Joe Lauzon in lightweight. Now, again, folks, if you guys like me going from top to bottom, just let me know in the comment section below so I can continue this trend. So I would appreciate some feedback on that, please. But yes, let's get to this. Anthony Pettis and Joe Lauzon. Now, I just can't see Joe Lauzon, finishing Anthony Pettis in the first round. I think Anthony Pettis is too smart and too skilled for that stuff. Joe Lauzon, how does he beat you in the first round? He either uses some sort of jiu-jitsu takedown, get you to the ground, and then eventually RNC you, or he'll knock you down with some solid stand-up and then eventually submit you. I don't see either happening to Anthony Pettis. I think Anthony Pettis is too smart of a striker to get hit hard by Joe Lauzon, and I think his takedown defense is too good for Joe Lauzon's jiu-jitsu takedowns. He's not exactly, a takedown machine like a GSP or Frankie Edgar, so I think Anthony Pettis is going to do a good job of staying on his 2 feet, and I think he will even edge out the first round against Joe Lauzon. I think Joe Lauzon will look relatively aggressive, but I think Anthony Pettis' combination of kicks and punches will overwhelm Joe Lauzon in that first, and I think he gets the first round 10-9 for Anthony Pettis. I think that Anthony Pettis makes it look worse over the course of 3 rounds over the course of the last 2 rounds because Joe Lauzon's gas tank is not good. Sure, Joe Lauzon's a killer in the first round, and he's one of the best round 1 fighters in the world, but Anthony Pettis is too smart and too skilled to get caught up in that. So I got Anthony Pettis winning via UD 30-27. Now I'll say this. Joe Lauzon against round 1 Frankie Edgar. I think Joe Lauzon would be UFC lightweight champion because Frankie Edgar looked whack in those last couple round ones he had. Just saying. But I got Anthony Pettis just winning this round 1 and taking the rest of them. So again, Anthony Pettis via UD. So there it is, folks, for that big-ass card, UFC 144. Edgar versus Henderson. I hope you guys enjoyed that card, and I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to say about it. Tell me what you guys thought of it in the comments section below. Please do. I try to respond as best possible, so of course I do care about what you guys have to say. And yeah, thank you for all the support once again. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thumbs up for Ben Henderson, thumbs down for Frankie Edgar. Deuces for all my supporters, bruises for all my haters. Thank you again, and take care.